ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste, my dear friends. This is the sixth video on metaphysics of Upanishadic knowledge by Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi. The topic will be self-realization. Before I start the question answer of devotees and Maharshi, I'll just introduce the topic. Self-realization. Self means Atma. Realization means to know Atma. See, in day-to-day life, our self remains as a witness and rest all the work what we do, the worldly work what we do with the help of mind and ego, involving vasanas and maya. Mind, ego, vasanas, and maya, all these act as the veiling for Atma. Otherwise, everybody is already self realized, but he or she is not aware because of the veiling by mind, ego, maya, and vasanas. So, if we want to realize our self, we have to eliminate mind, ego, veiling of maya, and vasanas. We undergo sadhanas like meditation, self-realization, mantra japa and all. This is all to eradicate the veil of mind, ego, maya and vasanas. We have to eradicate them. Then only we are really self-realized persons. So dear friend, self-inquiry meditation is the direct method. When we sit for meditation and start the sadhana of who am I? Here I is the ego, am is the existence, who is the query. So when we question our ego, this ego out of irritation, it goes on weakening. A time comes when it is completely weakened and vanishes. Mind and ego cannot be separated. The first thing is thought. Thought rises from the Atma, and continuity of these thoughts makes our mind and intellect, ego and all, these are the modifications of mind. So, when the thoughts they are coming out of the Atma and they are directed towards the outer world, these thoughts are having full negative energy. Moving away from divinity is attached with negative energy, all worldly affairs. So our thoughts are fully energized by negative energy. So, how to eliminate mind and ego? The simple way is who am I? Self inquiry and sit for meditation and use positive affirmations that I am going deeper and deeper towards the spiritual heart. So, the ego, mind, vasanas, and maya, they enter the spiritual heart, merge with the Atma. So, mind, ego, and all these are in the path of destruction. After these entities are completely destroyed, this is the stage of self realization. So, now let us see how Maharishi has explained this phenomenon. Devotee is asking, how can I attain self realization? Maharishi replies, realization is nothing to be gained afresh, it is already there. All that is necessary is to get rid of the thought, I have not realized. I have not realized this thought is full of negative energy. So this thought acts as a deterrent agent. It is a stumbling block in the process of self realization. Stillness or peace is realization. There is no moment when the self is not. So long as there is doubt or the feeling of non realization, the attempt should be made to rid oneself of these thoughts. They are due to the identification of the self with the not self, that is, body. When the not self disappears, the self alone remains. To make room, it is enough that the cramping be removed, room is not brought in from elsewhere. Next question, devotee is asking. Since realization is not possible without vasana aksaya, that is destruction of vasanas, how am I to realize that state in which the vasanas are effectively destroyed? See, meaning of vasana is subtle sanskaras, propensities, subtle impressions of thoughts accumulated in our subconscious mind that is called chit. In Sanskrit, the meaning of subconscious mind is chit, where all the memories of the previous births they are accumulated and they are existing in the chitta just like the seeds. So our thoughts are produced by these vasanas. They are the main reason of arising of thoughts from the Atma. Maharishi, you are in that state now, devotee. Does it mean that by holding on to this self, the vasanas should be destroyed as and when they emerge? See how these vasanas, mind, ego, and all can be destroyed. You have to have self awareness, self attention, focusing on the Atma. Have the feeling, an emotional feeling that I am Atma. It is not required to be every time using the speech. No, you have to just contemplate. You have to have the emotional feeling that I am Atma. This feeling must be there, and you must be aware and have self attention of this feeling that I am Atma. You need not to say this, but you have to feel it. You have to be with this idea. Maharishi, they will themselves be destroyed if you remain as you are. As you are means you are Atma. You are the real Atma. So you have to have awareness of this beingness that you are the real Atma. And your nature is peace and bliss. So this is the meaning of you remain as you are. Means be aware of, be self attentive that you are Atma. That's all. Devotee, how shall I reach the self? Maharishi, there is no reaching the self. If self were to be reached, it would mean that the self is not here and now, but that it is yet to be obtained. What is got afresh will also be lost. So it will be impermanent. What is not permanent is not worth striving for. So I say, the self is not reached. You are the self. You are already that, and you have to be aware of that. You have to have attention to this fact. The fact is, you are ignorant of your blissful state. Ignorance supervenes and draws a veil over the pure self which is bliss. Attempts are directed only to remove this veil of ignorance, which is merely wrong knowledge. The wrong knowledge is the false identification of the self with the body, mind, etc. This false identification must go, and then the self alone remains. Therefore, realization is for everyone. Realization makes no difference between the aspirants. This very doubt whether you can realize and the notion I have not realized are themselves the obstacles. Be free from these obstacles. Devotee, what is the use of samadhi and does those subsist then? What is the use of samadhi and does thought subsist then? Samadhi alone can reveal the truth. Thoughts cast a veil over reality, and so it is not realized as such in states other than samadhi. When the mind, ego, thoughts, vasanas, and feeling of maya, all these entities are eradicated. This is the state of thoughtlessness, state of peace and bliss, and this is samadhi. Just it is the difference in name. Otherwise, samadhi means thoughts are destroyed, ego is destroyed, feeling of maya is destroyed, vasanas are destroyed. Simple. In samadhi, there is only the feeling I am and no thoughts. I am means I am the Atma, I am the self. This is the feeling, this is the awareness, this is the attention to self, and this is samadhi. The experience I am is being still. This word still means thoughts are not arising from the Atma. What is the use of samadhi and does thought subsist then? Devotee, how can I repeat the experience of samadhi or the stillness that I obtain here? Maharshi, your present experience is due to the influence of the atmosphere in which you find yourself. Can you have it outside this atmosphere? The experience is spasmodic until it becomes permanent. Practice is necessary. So sometimes you may have the glimpses of self-realization, but they are impermanent. They are temporary. But you have to have the permanent experience. Then only you are said to be self-realized devotee. One has at times vivid flashes of a consciousness whose center is outside the normal self and which seem to be all inclusive. Without concerning ourselves with philosophical concepts, how would Bhagwan advise me to work towards getting, retaining, and extending those rare flashes? Does abhyasa in such experience involve retirement? Maharshi replies, outside. For whom is the inside or outside? These can exist only so long as there are the subject and object. For whom are these two again? On investigation, you will find that they resolve into the subject only. What is the subject? Atma. See who is the subject, and this inquiry leads you to pure consciousness beyond the subject. Who initiates the inquiry? Ego. What will be the result? Ego will be destroyed because ego itself is questioning the existence of ego only. When questioner is ego and the affected entity is ego, so during this confrontation, ego will be destroyed and Atma will be realized. The normal self is the mind. This mind is with limitations, but pure consciousness is beyond limitations and is reached by investigation as above outlined. See, normal self is the mind. When the thoughts they are away from the Atma, and they are existing in the form of mind. And this mind is on the way from outside to inside, interior, inward. So that time this mind is normal self. Okay. When it reaches the spiritual heart, it becomes Atma only. Because basically, mind is produced by Atma only. When this mind is going outward, it is negative. When the same mind is going, that is impure mind, you can say. When the same mind is going towards the spiritual heart, means Atma, that time it is pure mind and it is normal self, and finally it merges with the Atma and it becomes Atma. Getting, devotee, name is getting. The self is always there. You have only to remove the veil obstructing the revelation of the self. Retaining. Oh, sorry, this is not some devotee. Getting, the self is always there. You have only to remove the veil obstructing the revelation of the self. Retaining. Once you realize the self, it is the part of process. First, you have to remove ego, mind, and all, and then you have to get near to the self. So that is getting. Then this awareness, this you have to keep attention permanently. Then it becomes retaining process. Once you realize the self, it becomes your direct and immediate experience. It is never lost. So it is retained. Extending. There is no extending of the self, for it is as ever without contraction or expansion. Retirement. Abiding in the self is solitude because there is nothing alien to the self. Retirement must be from some one place or state to another. There is neither the one nor the other apart from the self. All being the self, retirement is impossible and inconceivable. Abhyasa is only the prevention of disturbance to the inherent peace. You are always in your natural state whether you do abhyasa or not. Abhyasa means doing something regularly as an exercise. To remain as you are without question or doubt is your natural state, devotee. On realizing samadhi does not one obtain siddhis also. Mercy, in order to display siddhi, there must be others to recognize them. That means there is no jnana in the one who displays them. Therefore, siddhis are not worth a thought. Jnana alone is to be aimed at and gained. See, people, they recognize whether he says is true or not just by seeing the siddhis. But dear friends, those who displays these siddhis, they are not at all true says. Forget about true says, they are not at all says. They are cheats. So please do not fall in their trap. Whosoever is showing some sort of siddhis means they are not at all sages. They are not at all true sages. Maharishi, yes, and it is the best help that you can possibly render to others. Those who have discovered great truths have done so in the still depths of the self. But really, there are no others to be helped. For the realized being sees only the self, just as the goldsmith sees only the gold while valuing it, valuing it in various jewels made of gold. When you identify yourself with the body, name, and formal there, but when you transcend the body consciousness, the others also disappear. The realized one does not see the world as different from himself. Devotee, would it not be better if the saints mix with others? Maharshi, there are no others to mix with. The self is the only reality. Devotee, should I not try to help the suffering world? Maharshi, the power that created you has created the world as well. If it can take care of you, it can similarly take care of the world also. If God has created the world, it is His business to look after it, not yours. Devotee, is it not our duty to be patriots, Maharshi? Your duty is to be and not to be this or that. I am that I am. Sums up the whole truth. The method is summarized in be still. And what does stillness mean? It means destroy yourself. Because, see, destroy yourself means your ego makes your. Because every name and form is the cause of trouble. I is the self. I am this. These are the adjuncts. I am Mr. Ram, I am Mr. Peter, I am Mr. Slim. These are the adjunct. So that is ego. When the I is kept up as the I only, it is the self. When this I is I am so and so, then this becomes the ego. When it flies off at a tangent and says I am this or that, I am such and such, it is the ego. Tangent means it is just on the periphery, not the center where Atma lies. Devotee, who then is God? Maharshi. The self is God, I am is God. If God be apart from the self, he must be a selfless God, which is absurd. All that is required to realize the self is to be still. What can be easier than that? Hence, Atma Vidya is the easiest to attain. So, dear friend, you might have understood at least something. Then just listen these videos for many times. You will understand and act accordingly. Thank you for your patience. Namaskar, my dear friends. Please share, like, and comment the video and subscribe my channel. Thank you, my dear friends, for your cooperation. Namaskar.